You're listening to Let's Talk Pricing, your connection to the voices, stories, and strategies shaping the pricing world. Each episode, we go beyond theory into the practical, timely conversations that help you lead with confidence and drive results. Let's start the show.
Hello and very good day, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Talk Pricing podcast. My name is Kevin Mitchell. I'm from Professional Pricing Society. And of course, the Let's Talk Pricing podcast is where we talk about business in general, but where we focus on issues that are of great importance to people in revenue management, in pricing, in sales enablement, and a lot of related fields. And thank you so much for joining our podcast today. We have a very special guest today. So today I'm honored to be joined by Patience Mutiso. Patience is a certified pricing professional. She is a very, very valued member of the PPS Board of Advisors. She also is a partner in strategy, pricing, and revenue growth management at Elladon Consulting Services. And if you've been around PPS for a little while, you may also know Patience from when she led pricing and revenue management at CHIP, the company that makes the pallets that everything in the world basically is shipped upon, and also at CH Gunter and other organizations as well. And also, if you've really been around PPS a lot, you may have heard people talk about the Mutiso corollary. What is the Mutiso corollary? We were having a debate once about where pricing should report to in the organization, and we heard lots of great ideas and great thoughts, and Patience said, here's the Mutiso corollary. Pricing should be as close as possible to wherever the biggest decisions are made at the most important times with the most important products in the organization. So with that, we are very, very happy to be joined by Patience Mutiso today. Patience, how are you?
I'm well, Kevin. It's been an interesting year, but I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. Thanks for asking, Kevin.
Of course, and welcome. And yes, you are correct. Of course, the old saying, may you live in interesting times. We certainly have a lot going on. And Patience, I know that I always learn a lot whenever we have the opportunity to sit down and talk. And I'm sure that our members are looking forward to this as well. Very quickly for our members, Patience is a thought leader. She focuses on building sustainable capabilities. She gets value right. And she is someone who is also very, very highly requested at PPS conferences. So we are also very happy to announce that Patience is going to be delivering a keynote at the PPS Profitable Conference, in Las Vegas. And she's going to be talking about pricing and revenue management centers of excellence and how we can build growth and how we can make profitability a cornerstone in our operations and in our organizations. So Patience, I have a few questions for you, and we, of course, are very, very happy that you're with us here today on the Let's Talk Pricing podcast. And I know because we've known each other for a little while, we'll say, and I know that you have a very, very long history in business, and you have spent decades focusing on pricing, strategy, revenue, profitable growth, and related things. And so for those of us in the audience who may not have had the opportunity to meet you or to connect with you as I have, can you share a little bit about your journey and how you first got into pricing and revenue management?
So yes, I can do that. It's a story that is more unique than I find most of the pricing people that I meet, because a lot of the pricing people that I meet were either told to go and do pricing because there was no one in the organization that was doing pricing, or they were an analyst in pricing and they were asked to go research what our costs are and things like that. But I have a very different story. So back when I went to school a few decades ago, I graduated with a master's in telecommunications management, and at that time, the telecommunications master's was the one where a lot of data and analytics was done. So we called it at that time knowledge management. And then I also graduated with a master's in finance. I have an MBA in finance. and then an undergraduate in marketing. So I thought to myself, so I had all this knowledge and education, but there was nowhere in the organization that you could really say that revenue, which is one of the most important things in the company, is focused on. People focus on marketing, and by marketing I mean promotions and telling people about the products, but no one was at that time, this was at least 30 years ago, no one was focused on specifically taking the number that we call the price and associating it to the value that we, and I'm a car enthusiast. And so it, to me, I always wondered, why would a Porsche cost more than a Toyota? It's or a Lexus and a Toyota, or a Mercedes, the base Mercedes versus a McLaren. Why are those two? Why can I get a wagon for $350,000, while a normal Mercedes I can get the biggest SUV for $70,000. Why is one 5 times more, and so on? And so I thought in to myself, and I guess I'm weird that way, is there must be something there about value, which is when I started coining that, getting value right, from that time. And then I started looking at how companies look at price, and then I found out that there were other people who actually thought like that, and that belonged to PPS. So that's my journey, is that I literally chose to do pricing from the very beginning of my career, all the way from an analyst, and kept telling organizations, I think this is something that we can look at. But when you're an analyst, it's very different than when you're a VP. So as I have grown, more and more people have started listening, but these thoughts began very early, um, almost as early as I think PPS was being created, because it's been almost the same amount of time.
That is amazing. And yeah, you're correct that a lot of us are voluntold that we are now pricing people. But basically, it sounds like you voluntold yourself that this is something that's so important that I need to get into it. And of
Yes.
course, with your background in finance and marketing and communication, we're kind of in a lot of ways at the nexus, at the center of all of those, with a couple other things around dealing with people and change management, of course, influencing without authority. So that's a very interesting background there. And Patience, I know that you mentioned value as part of your process in getting into pricing. And I know that you talk a lot about getting value right in your organizations and the people that you work with. So, what does getting value right mean to you, and why is that so important for organizations right now?
Well, so I'll kind of tie that, the history that we just talked about, to the current, about value. When one of the things that a lot of pricing people like to talk about is value-based pricing, but it's as though it's a standalone type of pricing. But I think that value-based pricing, or value-based anything, is an overarching theme of how we look at our customers, how we look at our products, how we look at our services, because it's all tied together as to what we provide as a company, and what that the customer is looking for. Because in marketing, as marketing grew, in the beginning, marketing was, we create a product, we sell the product. But then someone came up with a story about, and this is interesting because I do come from Kenya. I'm originally a Kenyan, and the person tells this story about Africans, that someone was sent to Africa by Nike to go and sell them shoes, the person went there to Africa. Africa is a continent, but that's another story. So they went to Africa and they found out that that no one was wearing shoes. So they came back to the company and said, "I can't sell them shoes. No one wears shoes." Then they sent somebody else, and they came back and said, "No one wears shoes. I can sell them. Send all the shoes you have." So two different ways of looking at a situation. So I think, what's the second person's thought process? Second person's thought process is, I'll sit with them, I'll see if they like not wearing shoes. I'll solve the problem. The problem is, I like my feet to be comfortable. I don't want my feet to be destroyed by not wearing shoes, or whatever it is that the values system. What is it about shoes that would make you change from your worldview of not wearing shoes to wearing shoes? So that's what I think when it comes to value. Value is that intrinsic solution to a question that we've asked in the beginning. So, what are we looking for? When again I come back to my car enthusiasm, what am I looking for when I purchase a Toyota, as compared to when I purchase a Porsche? What am I looking for? When I purchase the Toyota, I'm a student that has just finished their college, and all I need is transportation to my first job. When I move to the Lexus, I'm now no longer a student. It's 10 years down the road, and I want something that's a little bit more luxury. Now I'm looking, and then when I move on to the Mercedes wagon, I am self-actualized. The car has stopped being transportation and moved on to becoming a status symbol, better quality, an automobile.
Definitely. Yeah, the value proposition can certainly change over time.
Yes.
And we also have to remember that value is always from the observers, from our customers' perspective. I know a lot of times we're so inside out on things, we think that we make this, therefore it is valued. But of course, that doesn't mean as much unless it comes from the individuals themselves. So understood.
Correct.
So thank you, ma'am. And Patience, we are very, very much looking forward to your presentation coming up at PPS Profitable. We're going to be in Las Vegas from October 21st through the 24th. And I know that your presentation is centered on pricing and revenue centers of excellence. So for those of us who are rather new in the field, tell us a little bit about why a pricing center of excellence is important, and what are some of the building blocks that we need in order to continue to use the expertise that we have in the organization in order to survive and thrive.
So the concept of centers of excellence has been around in the business world now a few years, but it comes in and goes out. It's kind of like it's new for 5 years, then it becomes old again. It gets thrown out, and then it comes back. But it's always coming back. So one of the things that I've studied and I've worked on in building the centers of excellence in these various organizations that you mentioned before is that center is like a cornerstone. So when you look at a cornerstone in architecture, that is the stone that was first put in place in a building or any type of construction, whether it's a bridge or a river, a bridge that is spanning a river. They had that stone that you then build the building around. And that is how I look at a pricing center of excellence or in organizations where centers of excellence are very successful, they have an overarching center of excellence that then they add the pricing one, then they add the supply chain one, like that. They have like 4 or 5 major centers of excellence. Then they then bolt onto the CEO one. The C-suite has their own center of excellence that they then bolt onto, and that's the best view, of course. But centers of excellence are not easy to build, so that's why that's why they come in and out. Like they're in vogue one for 5 years, then they're out, and so on. But so that's what I want to be able to discuss, and I do have a workshop that I do every year or every other year in PPS that keeps on building on this concept, so that it allows us to keep moving the concept into the new things that are happening in business, even including adding AI and so on. But the core idea behind a center of excellence is the ability to allow each and every person in that organization to know how they contribute to their profitability, to their growth, and to their customer centricity success. That is the core. Those are the 3 main things that are foundational to centers of excellence.
Thank you so much for that. And yeah, that is a great way to describe not only what you're talking about, but how organizations can move forward there. And patience, one thing that's very critical that you mentioned also is that change is a huge part of this. Obviously, we have a lot of things going on from a macroeconomic perspective, as far as uncertainty, as far as velocity, as far as really not knowing what's going to happen next from a lot of different perspectives. So, change management and how we deal with the fact that we as human beings sometimes don't like changes is a huge part of that. So, what advice do you have for those of us in pricing and revenue management where we are in situations where we want to influence transformation within our organizations, but that involves changing mindsets, which can be hard, which can be really hard to do? So, what's the best way for people, if they're in a pricing center of excellence, or if they are an analyst or a manager or a director, how can they come at issues with a change management perspective?
So first of all, change management is the biggest aspect of centers of excellence, and is the most difficult thing to get right. Any organization that has tried what we call transformation, or just change management for whatever reason, they want to put in new processes, they want to put in new systems, they want to put in a pricing tool. Um, it can take it can fail at the very beginning based on how you do change management. And they say, as the researchers have said, that change management only succeeds at the utmost, like maximally at 30% of the projects that have been attempted in the world. Only 25 to 30%. Some of them actually say that 30% is too optimistic. And why is that? Because change has to involves more than just the people at the bottom. So the people that are doing the work, say the analysts, the managers, the senior managers, um, and versus the people at the in the C-suite, so to speak, or the VPs and those people right below there, they must all essentially speak the same language for change to work. They must all believe the same thing. It must be important to everyone. The change that we want to make, like if we decide that over the next 4 or 5 years we're going to change, we're going to put in a pricing center of excellence, then everybody has to believe that that is important. Because I've been in organizations where I did go there. I was hired to go and start to go and install a pricing or revenue management team. And then halfway through the journey, they said, well, we just want you to take the numbers and add a margin, and that's it. And I was like, well, that's not what I came to do, because then that can be easily done at any part of the organization. A center of excellence must be done across the board, but must be led from the top. The C-suites, it's the C-suites role to give you agency, to give the pricing leader, if it's a center of excellence, a pricing or revenue center of excellence, agency, so that when you speak, I have one of my leaders, in CHEP, I'm sure she doesn't mind me quoting her. Her name is Laura Nador. She gave me agency. It like lunch and learns. Like we would have a lunch and learn. She would attend so that other people would attend. That is the level of agency that she gave to the Center of Excellence. And that caused us to be able to grow, to double the business in the space of 5 years, which doesn't usually happen. But that is the level of agency that you need for change to happen and stick.
Definitely, yes. It's always best when change and the initiatives for change come with good leadership from the top. So we certainly can understand that. And I hope that everyone has that type of agency within your organization as well. And Patience, we are due for a very quick break here. So
Okay.
everyone, please stay on. The Let's Talk Pricing podcast will be right back.
If you're serious about growing your pricing career, you need to hear this. We're heading to Las Vegas this October 21st through 24th for PPS Profitable, pricing's preeminent conference. 4 days of bold strategies, practical tools, and real-world solutions to help you boost margins, lead with confidence, and accelerate your career. Connect with pricing leaders, sharpen your skills, and leave ready to make an immediate impact. And if you're bringing your team, be sure to check out our bundled group rates for even more value. Secure your spot today at pricingsociety.com PPSLV25. All right, back to the show.
Thanks so much, everyone. And welcome back to the Let's Talk Pricing podcast. We're talking with Patience Mutiso about leadership, about change, about centers of excellence, and a lot more. So, Patience, you have several decades of pricing experience, and I have seen some of your presentations when you talk about us as pricing professionals as puzzle pieces that have to fit in with the organization and have to drive us towards profitable growth. Can you talk about how we as business leaders, we as people who are important elements of our organization, how we can grow into these roles? And tell us a little bit about what human skills you think are most important for pricing people as we elevate ourselves and as we become these great pieces that lead our organizations forward.
In thinking about the human side of pricing, one of the things that I believe and I espouse, like you said in the beginning, is that the leadership is one of the pricing people are teachers, and when you do your what it is you're good at, when you do some of these tests, they most of the times when I in my teams, when we've done those strengths finder and so on, we find that a lot of us in the pricing world are teachers there, and teachers are patient, because it's a new, it takes years, it takes almost half a century for a new way of thinking, a worldview to change. So it took marketing 100 years maybe to become everyday language, like, or the four, first it was 4 P's, now it's, I think, 20 P's. I think every day, every year we get a new P. But
Yes.
but So it's the same thing with pricing. The first thing about a pricer is they're learners. They want to learn about the business, because I don't think it's possible to price something that you don't believe in or you don't understand. That's number one, because of the value piece that we talked about already. It's more, and it's also like a sales manager. Most sales associates sell what they believe in. Most pricing people need to price to put a number against that value, which we often sometimes call willingness to pay. We call a strategic price. We call the correct price, the getting pricing right, and so on. The all those naming conventions are based on the value, but so to be able to understand the value, you must be a learner. Second thing is you must be a teacher, so that the concepts, because there are concepts of pricing that are, like, what is it that we intrinsically want to sell to the customer? Does the customer need that? So learning that, and then also understanding people. The pricer is also an economist. We are our inside economists. So we take the numbers from outside, like, and then translate them into the company so that we can be competitive. For example, right now the hot topic is tariffs, but we've got to be careful to make sure that we're not jumping the gun, for example, before they have really taken effect or something like that. The GDP, what is happening. So prices must also be economists. They must also be data analysts and understand the data, understand what is happening in the markets, and translate it to give the organization in which they are a competitive advantage. So we are all these things, and then we are mathematicians and artists. So we must understand the numbers, get the water flow correct, and the waterfalls correct, and all that, but also understand the art of saying, or this product is in belongs to this segment. This is the demographic. So we must take whatever marketing is able to research, and take that information, take those insights, and put them also into the information that we use to price.
Absolutely. We certainly have to be both artists and scientists in a lot of those ways, as you explained there. And Patience, I have another question for you. I know from your history that one of the things that you've been very good at throughout your career is leading organizations through big transformations. Can you think of a critical lesson or two that perhaps has been the most impactful thing that helps you guide organizations through transformations, which we know can be very, very difficult?
So I hate to do this, but I have no choice but to say I think I am perfectly named for transformations. I think patience. In fact, one of the jobs where when I interviewed, they said that they had done one of those surveys for their director level people in their company, and they had come up with a project that said that they needed a pricing and revenue manager, and one of their qualifications was patience. So they were laughing that they didn't ask for a patience. They just wanted someone who was patient, but but
That's
they got
great.
that answer. So yeah, so transformations need patience. And then they also need careful planning, like we talked about change management. Change
Mhm.
management is critical. It's like a foundational aspect of those transformations. And then then understanding the baseline of where we are. To transform, we must be transforming something. If you believe that you're fine, you won't transform. The company can say we want to do a transformation, but if everybody inherently believes that they are okay, that transformation will not work, because only some people will be trying to push it and nothing will happen. So you need patience, you need planning, and you need to understand the change management journey before it starts.
Understood. So we definitely need patience. And a couple of organizations have definitely needed patience.
Yes.
Along with the careful planning, the change management, and understanding the need for the transformation there. So thanks for your explanation of that. And we are due for another break, but everyone, please stay with us. The Let's Talk Pricing podcast will be right back with Patience Mutiso.
This October 21st through 24th, PPS Profitable takes over Las Vegas. It's 4 days packed with cutting-edge strategies, hands-on workshops, and real-world insights to help you lead pricing with confidence and deliver measurable results. You'll connect with top pricing leaders from around the world, build powerful peer networks, and walk away with tools you can put to work the very next day. Learn more and reserve your spot at pricingsociety.com/PPSLV25. Now, let's get back into the conversation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Pricing. Today, we're talking with Patience Mutiso on a lot of interesting topics like centers of excellence, pricing leadership, change management, the fact that you need patience, and Patience is right here talking with us today, and lots of other things as well. So, Patience, we have time for perhaps one more great question, and that is, since you have been around pricing for quite some time, how have you seen us as a discipline evolve, and where do you think we are headed next in the next 5 or 10 years with pricing? What do you see in our future within the pricing discipline?
So I think right now I've seen it evolve from essentially just taking a cost plus, adding margin to a number, which we now know or call cost plus. But that was what pricing was for a long time. It was just making a something and putting some money on it and hoping for the best. All the way to now, it's become quite a bit more complex, and in many instances, and several organizations, starting from the airlines, and now all across most industries, in the airlines and in transportation, where and general transportation like trucking and so on, which are industries in which I've been involved. In the beginning, we weren't doing any yield management, like what is our cost when this truck is not moving. Similar to the pallet industry, what is a sitting pallet is a useless pallet, right? It's not making me any money, but neither is it shipping any customers' products. So there is a disconnect in the supply chain. When something is not moving, then there's an issue. So we started in the just cost plus. We think it costs us this amount to do this business, and we are just going to add a little bit of money and see whether we make money. All the way to most recently, where I had in one of the companies, I had a project called Cost 360, where we understand every aspect of cost, but also how that cost ties to to our value, and then what the customer is willing to pay, because the customers in some situations have told us, I have had a customer survey tell me that I'm too cheap in some situations, and people don't believe it in the organization. They're like, what do you mean too cheap? Because we've done the study, and the customer said, now I would pay this, but if you could just do this one thing, you could just change this one thing in this product or service, I could pay you 10%, 15%, 20% more. So we've come all the way from cost plus to yield management in the transportation and the supply chain, all the way to in the telecommunications, understanding bundling, and so on. So I think value-based pricing is going to continue to be our future, but we have to slightly redefine what we mean by value-based. It's sometimes I think we put it too much in a in a corner or in a box where value is just things that I can mention, like let's take Nike. I can mention, oh, the shoe has this in it's spongy, or it holds my leg, it helps. But there are other things, like overall, how is it engineered to help my gait as I go along. So, and then enter AI, which I know a lot of people like to talk about it now, and some think it's a fad, but I think, again, it's part of just growing and expanding, and we need to understand it as pricing people so that we can take it into consideration as part of our toolbox to get value right. So I think it's important. I've seen it evolve from the essentially analyst level, and I think, and right now, to maybe mid-level, kind of senior manager level, like a senior director, VP. But I think it's time to have pricing become part of the C-suite. I think senior value officers and senior, because they can then take all this, everything that we've learned, kind of like we did with the CMOs in the past, the chief marketing officers, and they complement, pricing leaders complement and enhance the C-suite. So I think that's where we should be looking to go in the future. And I think organizations that are on the verge there already, because they already know how to handle their value. If you read their case statements and you read their financial statements, they always talk about value. They always talk about price. An organization like Porsche, for example, when they build a car, they plan its entire life cycle plus its entire pricing cycle. So organizations like that are already, I think, on the verge of, if not already there, on having that kind of future that we are looking for.
Yes, you're correct. And we have seen quite a change in the pricing discipline over the decades, from it being a clerical function where where it may have maintained a price list, to an
Right.
analytical function, to a managerial function. And as you mentioned, hopefully to a leadership function, a C-suite function, where you are at the nexus of a lot of different departments and you can work with the latest tools. You can redefine what value means from your customer's viewpoint, and hopefully get some great C-suite positions and some influence there working with them as well. So thank you so much for the answer, and thank you so much for your time with us today, Patience. Always a
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking with you. And of course, everyone listening, please make sure to join us for the PPS Profitable Conference in Las Vegas in October from the 21st to the 24th. You can connect with Patience there. You can certainly attend her keynote, which I'm really, really looking forward to, and also connect with the PPS team. So I look forward to seeing everyone there. But Patience, thank you so much for joining us today on the Let's Talk Pricing podcast. We are honored to have you. I'm looking forward to seeing you again very, very soon. And I'm certainly that you will have lots more insights for our listeners, for our members, so that they can walk away with some even greater ideas on how they can work to transform their organizations. And to everyone joining in today, thank you so much for joining us and for listening to the Let's Talk Pricing podcast. We will look forward to connecting with you and seeing you again soon. So thanks so much, everyone.